Hello, I'm Dango Rose. Welcome to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. The Mountaineer brings you the latest news of the peak-to-peak region, in print, online, through our podcast, social media, and special publications. Now, listen in to the latest news of the area with our local journalists.
Spices on the shelf, my darling.
Welcome back to the Mountaineer Podcast, where everybody's listening. I'm Barbara Hardt.
And I'm Doug Armitage. Thanks for joining us. The intro music is provided by Daniel Wander, who is a world-traveled Rocky Mountain-based singer-songwriter with an all-original sound. His music is influenced by Americana folk, island roots and soul, classic 70s rock, psychedelic jamgrass, and a little bit of country gospel. His debut full-length studio album, Grow, is fresh off the press in May 2022. Grow also features an array of top-notch, front-range musicians. Find his music on all the streaming services or support directly and find tour dates and more at www.danielwander.com.
This episode is brought to you by the Gold Hill Inn, the Backdoor Theater, Brightwood Music, Hardt's Backhoe, and of course, the Mountaineer newspaper. And now to the news desk.
This week's movie at the Backdoor Theater is a second showing of Fantastic Beasts and the Secrets of Dumbledore, rated PG-13. The movie shows Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m., with a Saturday matinee at 2 p.m.
Some of the current highlights in the Mountaineer include our weekly music column, which is always available in print and online, Keep It Local business stories of the Peak-to-Peak region, school zone news, and our Taste of the Peaks restaurant list. The list includes restaurants, breweries, distilleries, and more from across the entire Peak-to-Peak region. Make sure to check it out in print or online.
Our first story of the week is Christopher Kelly and his interview with Steve at Bravo Italiano. Take it away, Chris.
I'm Christopher Kelly, and I sat down for an espresso and a chat with Steve Tricarico, proprietor of Bravo Italiano and Cafe 42, Central City's premier Italian coffee bar and specialty shop. Steve talked about how he overcame many personal challenges before opening up his own storefront, and how he found happiness sharing his love of fine foods. Let's get into it.
I love sharing the food. That's my passion here.
Yeah.
Really. I'm not even worried about making money. I know I'm not going to get rich off of it, but I've always had this food to share, and that's what I do. I love doing that. If I can have people come in and just try my stuff, leave, I don't care. That makes a good day for me.
That's excellent. And so let's start, and you already explained a little bit to me, but we'll go back into it just a bit. Tell us about how you got started, a little bit about your background before the store.
How far you want to go back? I'll just start at high school.
Sure.
Dad opened a sheet metal shop when I came out of high school, and I did sheet metal HVAC for 11 years. Sprained my neck.
Ooh.
Couldn't do that anymore. The state paid for blackjack dealing classes, and then I ended up coming up here, and I dealt poker and blackjack very shortly, and then poker for quite a few years at all the casinos. And then I ended up moving out to my grandma and grandpa's farm when they passed away out in Brighton. And then I lived there for like 12 years and I got Guillain-Barré syndrome. Was paralyzed for 2 years there.
Oh, wow.
And it took me, like 8 years to recover.
To overcome
fully recovered.
Yeah.
And then I found out that was my first onset of MS. When I came back up here, moved up here, so I worked for the post office up in Blackhawk, delivering mail for 4 years. And then I had my onset of MS. I lost vision in my left eye. Couldn't do that anymore. So then I just then COVID hit.
Yep.
I was on that crazy infusion. It's like a shot, $35,000 shot once every 6 months. And then COVID hit, and they said, well, you could die if you get COVID and your immune system is compromised by that infusion. So I've been pharmaceutical free since, and I feel great. I'm getting my eyesight back, and I think it's just because I'm happy, really. And I got this store, and everything's coming together. I didn't plan any of this, really. But I also, throughout my whole life too, like in between when I was working sheet metal or post office, I always worked for my cousin's food warehouse, this place. And they've been at it for 45 years.
All right.
And my cousin's my best friend. He's from Georgetown. And this is where I get all my food stuff. And I used to repair machines like that thing up there.
Oh, the old those old espresso machines.
They supply food to all the fancy restaurants, like in Aspen and Vale, wherever there's fancy restaurants, fancy food. And they would do the Lavazza coffee, and they supply the machines, and then I would go service the machines all around the state. And that's kind of how I got tied into this food thing. And he used to give me pallets of food because they give sales samples for the salesmen and all the samples and just stuff that would expire. He'd give me pallets of food, and I'd always have this kind of food for myself. I'd give it away to my family, and then what I had left over, I'd give it away to my friends. And even just driving by bums on the street, sometimes I'd pull over and empty some of my van out and just give them all this fancy food. They love it, and I love doing that.
Yeah.
So
right.
That's kind of how then I got an opportunity to work at the 11th Street Market.
Yeah, I was just about to mention that the mayor was telling me a little bit about that.
Yep.
Yeah, I heard you were the MVP of the market.
I don't know how, but I don't know why. But that van, I bought that service van from my cousin. And that was the one I used to drive around anyway. And they let me keep the Lavazza sticker on it. I'm really not supposed to, I don't think. But anyway, they haven't said anything yet. So I left that sticker on there and used that as my booth down there at the market with an umbrella. It was nice and easy. I hit a $3,000 finalist entry. I spun the wheel down in Sasquatch, and when I got that money, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to sell ice cream, these fancy ice creams with this $3,000, and maybe someday I'll have a market. And I was able to do it with that $3,000.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so I actually still have a little bit of that left. Because once I started doing the coffee, I started making a little bit of money back. Then the ice cream Dutch let me put my ice cream cooler up there to get started.
Nice.
And so then I started making very little money, but it was enough to buy more. And then Jeremy gave me this opportunity to have the store. And
the storefront here.
Yeah, my cousin gave me all those posters and the racking and the freezer and stuff to use from the warehouse down there, and it's coming together.
Yeah, it's a great atmosphere. I love how because you can tell what it is as soon as you come in.
Even though I don't have a name. Finally do have a name now.
Yeah.
Bravo Italiano.
Bravo Italiano.
And Cafe 42 is going to be the coffee part of it.
Cafe 42?
Yeah. With two F's or an E like that. Cafe Espresso. Because in Italian that means bar, espresso bar.
How many people, when you had your van set up at the market, how many people pronounced it Lavazza?
Yeah, Lavazza. I still pronounce it wrong too. My cousin drives me nuts. He's like, it's like pizza.
We used to have Lavazza coffee at my movie theater that I used to be a general manager for.
Oh, nice! It's great coffee.
Oh yeah,
I'm spoiled with it. And as soon as you run out of it, and then you go try something else, you're like, more sugar, milk.
Where did you? Aside of working with the machines, did that just give you an interest to start learning how to make the espresso yourself and
I had to learn how to do that because
some barista skills?
We'd get a brand new machine, say for a restaurant in Breckenridge, and before we would even bring it up there, we'd set it up in the shop at the warehouse, make sure everything works right, set the shots. So I've I had to learn how to be a barista.
You might as well do it right.
Yeah, well, you have to because you're representing the Lavazza company, so you have to make sure that coffee is made to their specs. Ground right, the right weight, everything packed right. But now, those wonderful machines, you just push a button, and it's in a pod, so everything's perfect, and it's fresh. So I love that machine. He gave me that machine. That thing is $1,800, and he's like, well, and I've probably done, I'd say at least 50 cases of coffee, which is 50 times 100 coffees out of that thing.
Wow. Right away, if a customer is drawn to something, you kind of jump right at to show it, to give them a sample, give them a taste.
I love doing that. That's what I do this for, really. I want to share this wonderful food.
Would you say that's your favorite part?
It is.
Sharing the food.
Yeah, and
getting
that's
people
got to have
excited.
something to do with my mom, because I can't go down there without getting stuffed. A bunch of frozen stuff to take up here, and that's just how.
Yeah, you always get leftovers. Yeah, you always put it in the freezer. It'll be good for weeks.
No one can come into my mom's house without walking out and eating something. And that's how I guess I've been trained, because I don't care if they come in and buy something or not. They're not getting out unless they try my candies, my balsamics, the pesto, crackers, coffee. They're going to have something. That's what I do.
What would you like to do as far as any expanding or changes that you would like to make? Anything different that you would like to?
I'd really love to make these custom Italian pizzas, because I know been through all those classes from down there at the warehouse. When restaurants want to start a pizza place or whatever, they come down, and my cousin gets the flour lady to come in that sells the nice flours, and then he has pizza guys from Italy come in and teach you how to do the dough. And I've been through a lot of those, just working in the, where they'll be doing it out from the shop was the kitchen, right out from next, right behind the kitchen was this coffee shop for the stuff. So I just come out during the demonstrations and I get to see all that, and I can make a killer pizza.
All right.
So I'd love to do custom Italian pizzas.
Excellent.
And then maybe the paninis or something, but I can't do it probably here.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to relocate. I'd love to be over there.
Yeah.
I've already had a memory of my future there. I'll probably end up there.
Wait, on
The bank building.
On the bank building there?
I would love that, because it's got a kitchen upstairs.
Oh.
Because it used to be a casino.
Okay.
And having that little corner with a couple of signs outside that said gelato and espresso and maybe pizza.
Nice corner.
Yeah, that's I've foreseen that.
I'd like to thank Steve Tricarico for sharing his story with us and for letting me sample many of the great things he has to offer at Bravo Italiano and Cafe 42. He's located at 109 Eureka Street and is open Tuesday through Sunday from 1 to 7 p.m. For more information, call 720-357-7104.
Thanks, Christopher. And now to the news desk.
Visit Brightwood Music in Netherlands for a custom setup on your stringed or fretted instrument. They also offer lessons for all ages and abilities. Brightwood Music is family-owned and operated and has been a Netherlands staple for all of your music needs for over a decade. They are located at 20 East Lakeview Drive, Unit 109 in Netherlands, and can be reached at 303-258-8863.
Peak-to-peak musicians and artists, the Mountaineer is looking for you. We're looking for our June and July featured musicians. Would you like a feature story in the Mountaineer print, online, and podcast edition? Right now, these are all completed through email, phone calls, and occasional in-person interviews with our journalists. Interested? Email publisher1977@gmail.com to get on the list for upcoming editions.
And for our next story, we have Jamie Lammers' interview with Oren Paisner of Ghost Town Drifters. Off you go, Jamie.
Hello, My name is Jamie Lammers, and this is my interview with Oren Paisner of the Colorado band Ghost Town Drifters.
My name is Oren Paisner. I play the mandolin in Ghost Town Drifters, and I'm also one of the main singers and songwriters. Like to play mandolin and play bluegrass music and write new stuff, and that's why I'm here.
I hear you guys are performing in the Peak to Peak area very soon.
That is correct.
You mind telling them about the Howlin' Wind show?
Yeah, Howlin' Wind is going to be May 21st. Really excited. We don't normally get up to the Peak to Peak area, so we were really excited to finally get a chance to get up there and play for the fine mountain folk of Rollinsville, and hopefully we can use that to draw some mountain inspiration for future songs and whatnot. The show should be from 4 to 7, so if you're listening, make sure you plan accordingly, and yeah, we'll see you there.
Can you tell us a little bit about how this band started? How did it come to be? What are some of your guys' musical backgrounds? When did you guys meet? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So this band started, I want to say like in the spring of 2018, and originally it was some of us had been in a band beforehand. That band was called Cosmic Mesa, and at that time it was me on the mandolin, Scott Vincent on the bass, Tom Mueller on the guitar, and Joey Permore on the banjo, and we had all actually played in that band Cosmic Mesa, except for Tom. I've known Tom from hanging out in the Denver bluegrass scene. I always see him at this place called the Park House, which hosted weekly jams followed by like a concert. You'd get people like the John Stickley Trio playing a free concert, and there'd be a jam beforehand, and everyone in the band would come hang out and jam, and then we'd go see him play. It was really a great place. But fast forward in 2018, started practicing, writing songs, and we got our first gig that summer at the Golden Community Garden. And it wasn't a paid gig, but it was our first gig, and we were pretty happy to get it. And from there, we kind of just were able to pick up steam and play more places, and we got a couple gigs at Cervantes, opening for musicians like Jeff Austin from Yonder Mountain String Band, Jeremy Garrett from the infamous String Dusters, and Bill Nershi from String Cheese Incident, and we opened for Rumpke Mountain Boys one time. That was a lot of fun, and we were really able to just get our leg up in the community just by providing support for some of these bigger known names. And fast forward to now, 4 years later, and it's almost a completely different band. We had our last show with Tom, one of the founding members of the band. He went to go pursue more adult type things in his life. He's getting married and focusing on his career, as a lot of people do, and we parted ways on really good terms, so there's never any hard feelings. And we got a new guitar player now. Yeah, we're pretty excited. We were holding out for a long time, trying to find that new guitar player, and finally found the right fit. And since then, we've even had even more changes in the band. My best friend from Maryland, his name's Alex Tocco, joined the band in 2019, moved from Maryland to fill a role. We lost our banjo player, Joey, and yeah, Alex came to fill in the role on fiddle instead, and he brought a lot to the band with his songwriting and his take on bluegrass, and me and him have been playing since we were probably like 15 or 16 together, and I'm 30 now, so that shows how long that's been, and we both have very similar approaches to this bluegrass music, having grown up listening to classic bluegrass artists such as Bill Monroe, father of bluegrass music, and Flatt and Scruggs, and the Kentucky Colonels, and the Osborne Brothers, and all those people, and so we attribute those influences to our sound now, but we also attribute other influences too, such as, I mentioned String Cheese Incident before, the infamous String Dusters, Yonder, more contemporary bluegrass acts, and it's been a wild ride, a lot of different band members, but I think right now we've got the core group. Everyone in the band seems to really want to play, everyone really wants to practice, everyone wants to write, and we're excited. We're always thinking, how can we push this band forward? Whether it's songwriting, or booking gigs, or just upgrading our gear. Right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm building a new pedal board. So, we're just constantly trying to figure out how can we improve and make this a well-oiled machine.
Did you talk about some of your influences and some of your musical backgrounds and some of the artists that have inspired you?
Right, yeah, I can talk more about that. Growing up, it wasn't until I heard, and this is pretty funny, a lot of people are going to throw shade because of this, but I listened to Old Crow Medicine Show, and I listened to that song Wagon Wheel, and I was just so perplexed by it. I was like, what's going on? There's no drums, they're all acoustic instruments, they got a little bit of southern twang to it, and from there, we found a mandolin in Alex's mom's bedroom when we were like 16 or something like that, and we're like, what's this instrument? It was just there for show. Did a little Google search, and we're like, oh wow, that's a mandolin, and you play that in bluegrass bluegrass music, and we heard of a little local jam in Maryland where we were from. It was at this place called the Friendly Inn. It was a bluegrass jam. We wanted to show up. One of our other friends, he found a banjo. So we had a guitar and a banjo and a mandolin. We're ready to go to this bluegrass jam. And we show up, and we're the youngest people there by at least 40 years. And we had no idea what we were doing at all. And then they kind of just like stepped in. We're like, oh yeah, you gotta listen to these artists. And a lot of those artists that they named, some of them were Bill Monroe, obviously, Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs, Tony Rice, Doc Watson, the Stanley Brothers, just to name a few. And that was what really got us going in this direction of, oh, we want to learn these instruments. And back then, I was actually the guitar player, and Alex, who plays fiddle now, was playing mandolin. But eventually, I moved to Boulder, Colorado. This was in 2012, and I was realizing everyone plays guitar. So I went to Brightwood Music in Netherland, Colorado, and we bought a mandolin. And then shortly after that, I also realized that everyone thought that everyone else plays guitar and also got a mandolin. Now there's a lot of mandolin players, but I decided, all right, I might as well just stick to it. And from 2012 to 2015, I was really seeing the Colorado bluegrass music scene up front, going to Yonder shows, seeing Jeff Austin, going to shows at Planet Bluegrass, seeing bands like the String Cheese Incident, all just kind of shaping my view of what I thought bluegrass music could be. And earlier, I was really trying to just mix those two schools of thought, having the tradition, but also having the innovation. And I wanted to have those elements really at the forefront. We can keep true. We can play a Bill Monroe styled mandolin break, but we can also jam. We can do both. We can please both of those crowds if we want to. So really owe a lot to those people, specifically Jeff Austin, who's huge influence. The Kitchen Dwellers from Montana too, also huge influence. They were just coming up when I was first getting into that kind of music.
What are some of your favorite parts about being able to perform live?
You know, the best part about performing live for me is just seeing the smiles on everyone's faces, just knowing that you're helping everyone escape whatever they got going on, whether it be work or their living situation at home, their family. For a moment, everyone just kind of puts that aside at the door and everyone just lives in the moment. And you can really see that sometimes. Not all the time, but a fair amount of times. And for me, that's what keeps me wanting to do that again and again and again.
What do you hope that audience members will be able to take away from your show once you come to perform in Howlin' Wind?
Well, mainly, I want everyone to just have a good time, I want everyone to leave that and be like, wow, that was fun, We really enjoyed the music and really made me live in the moment, like I was saying earlier. If everyone could just leave every performance I do where they go, that was why I went to work all week, to have an experience like that on the weekend or whenever. That's what I'm hoping everyone can take away from that.
Is there anything else just in general you want to add about the band or about anything you want to promote or anything in general?
No, I think that's it, yeah.
I think those are all the big questions that I have on my end for the band.
Well, awesome, yeah. Well, it was great talking to you, Jamie.
Thank you so much to Oren for coming on board and joining us for the podcast. If you want to see Ghost Town Drifters perform live, you can catch them at Howlin' Wind Brewing on 51A Main Street in Rollinsville on Saturday, May 21st, 2022 at 4 p.m. For more information about the band, visit their website at www.ghosttowndrifters.com.
Thanks, Jamie. Friends, remember, it's getting hot and dry out there. Boulder, Gilpin County, and the United States Forest Service have enacted Stage 1 fire bans. For the latest fire information, please check your local county website.
This weekend is the performance of Tuck Everlasting at the Gilpin High School. Tickets are $12 for adults and $7 for students, and the show starts at 7 p.m. The Gilpin High School is located at 10595 Highway 119 in Blackhawk.
This week's paper also has 2 featured stories on our local high school seniors that are graduating in the next month. Check out each edition from now through the end of May to read the stories of these local teens.
For our final story, Jamie Lammers interviews local musician Matt Flaherty. Here's Jamie now.
This is my interview with local musician Matt Flaherty. I actually originally interviewed him to promote his band, Chocolate Merlot, who performed at Covered Wagon back in April, but we ultimately couldn't use the podcast version of that interview due to story buildup. So we are now bringing that interview back to promote his solo show coming up very soon. Here is my interview with Matt Flaherty.
My name is Matt Flaherty. I am a guitarist and singer from Denver.
You're in a band, Chocolate Merlot, is that correct?
That is correct.
How did the band start? How did you guys get together, and how did the band form?
Oh man, we're all friends, I guess is the biggest, easiest answer. We've all played in different bands, a bunch all over Colorado for the past long time, maybe 10, 15 years between. So, this is more like a super group, if you will.
What are your musical backgrounds just as a whole? Are there any influences that you guys have utilized? Are there any particular styles you lean more towards?
I mean, kind of all over the place. Some of us come from more of like a jazz fusion background. Me and Rob Garland. I'd say the one thing that we all have similarities is that we at least all used to be big into like jam bands and stuff like that.
In regards to performing live, what were the moments that drove you towards wanting to have a career in music and make something out of that passion?
I would say just the energy that you get from a live show and stuff like that is pretty powerful. It's something that gives you like goosebumps sometimes or whatever. It just seemed like a pretty cool thing to try to get to be able to be on the other side of the fence to give to other people. I'm not exactly the 9 to 5 guy anyway, so personality-wise, it made much more sense. Yeah, music has always just been a good distraction from the nonsense.
And is that kind of what you hope audiences will take away from your shows, being able to have that kind of distraction from craziness of life?
Sure. No, it's not like I wouldn't even say a complete distraction because I think in a way we kind of make fun of, I mean, some of us are we're characters, so if anything we like to make stupid jokes and stuff like that. So if anything we're kind of making fun of things that kind of deserve to be made fun of, like this whole Will Smith drama going on. It'll make for good things to make fun of at the show. Maybe if people still care about that stuff, but it's everywhere.
And so in general, are there things that you like poking fun at in regards to your shows? Is that kind of a theme of some of the things you do?
Yeah, I don't know. It's almost like South Park or something where the world is so ridiculous that it's pretty easy ammo to stock up on. So whatever presents itself at the time.
Is there anything else in general you want to add about the band?
Not really. Just that, some of those guys live up there and stuff like that and stuff. So it'll be a good hang with, it's like one little family up there. So it'll be good to see everybody and hang out and laugh and have a good time and play music. Besides that, yeah, just having a good time there. We don't really have anything to promote or anything like that.
I think those are all the big questions that I have on my end.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for taking some time.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for coming on board. This is awesome.
Of course.
Thank you so much, Matt, for coming on board and joining us for the podcast. If you want to see him perform live, be sure to check out his solo show at Knotted Root Brewing, that's 250 North Caribou Street in Nederland, on Friday, May 20th, 2022 at 5 p.m.
Thanks, Jamie. Hey, friends and neighbors. Kathmandu Restaurant in Nederland will be closed on Tuesdays during May. Please visit Wednesday through Monday. The lunch buffet is open every day from 11 till 3 and stays open late on Friday before the movie at the Backdoor Theater.
The Gilpin County Democrats will hold monthly meetings in person on the fourth Thursday of each month at the Gilpin County Library from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Contact gilpindemschair@gmail.com with questions.
The Gilpin County Republican meetings are the first Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. Email gcrcgilpin@gmail.com for location.
Are you interested in being a podcast sponsor? We have sponsorships available starting at $30 per week, or sponsor a whole month for just $99. The podcast reaches a different audience than the print or online edition of The Mountaineer.
And a quick note about the opening of the Nederland Sword Yard. The Nederland Sword Yard is located at 291 Ridge Road in Nederland. The hours of operation are Wednesday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The Nederland location will be open from Wednesday, May 4th through Saturday, October 22nd.
And don't forget to pick up this week's edition of The Mountaineer in print in multiple locations across the Peak to Peak. And that's all for this week's episode of The Mountaineer Podcast. All editions of The Mountaineer Podcast, print newspaper, and the latest news are always available on our website at www.themountaineer.com. To contact The Mountain Ear, email info@themountainear.com or call 303-810-5409.
Thanks, everyone, for an entertaining podcast. I'm Doug Armitage.
And I'm Barbara Hardt. Until next time, thanks for listening.
Well, that road was getting slippery. Those wheels, they broke us down. My love, do you remember all the treasure that we found? In that little white apartment, in that broke down little town. Threw a mattress on the floor, called it settled down until we had to go. And we always had to go. These roots touch the soil and these leaves begin to grow. And we rip them out again when they do. And we leave these borders. Two tired souls searching for a place to park tonight. Will this wildfire light our journey through the dark? Oh, this love is the force that tore your roots up from the ground and made you leave all that you lost and found. This love is the only force that can take a die-hard wanderer and make him start to think about home.
And that's it for our show. Subscribe online to get more access to more news, weekly updates to our community calendar, and a link to our YouTube channel by visiting themountaineer.com. Be sure to use the coupon code PODCAST when subscribing for a 10% discount, only available to our listeners. If you are in the local Peak to Peak area, be sure to pick up a print edition of The Mountaineer at a local business. I'm Dango Rose. Thank you for listening.